changing the rhythm. This is what I'm using to come up with a style, so I'll interact all together better with the crowd. Nervous for a second and the record starts spinning, and I fall into the state of mind of what I've just created. Pumping like the doctor, D into the RE, suckers ready to leap up on the tip when we made it. Created so I'll never be regarded as a regular, more than just a little bit better than my competitor. You should never underestimate the fashion. I hope for the stage whether I'm cooling or thrashing. Clocking the concoction created by me. When read you read, E equals a D-O to the C. Knowledge and the talent that my mother had born to her equals an artist I won't be warned. What is that, Dre?
It's the formula.
Hey, it's Soleil in this episode 631 of the Orange Pill Investor, and today I'm going to ask the question, not actually going to answer it necessarily. Everybody can make up their own minds. But ask the question is Bitcoin the formula for remaining sovereign, not only for individuals, but also for countries? I can't imagine someone hasn't heard that the Taco Tuesday thing maybe is hopefully supposedly over. I'm not really buying it. And regardless of your political persuasion, I kind of think it's hilarious that folks are dunking and like, oh yeah, this was amazing. America's winning. I'm tired of fucking winning. And number one, I won't believe it till I see it, because I really don't see how Zionists, and that would be Jewish and Christian Zionists together, I don't see how they allow this to stand. But even if they do, this is like a huge win for Iran. They have been elevated, not necessarily to a global superpower, but they have been elevated to a regional power. There was always the threat that maybe they could close the Strait of Hormuz, but now we know they can. They can literally just turn it off and turn it on anytime they want. And so that use case has been tested, and the U.S. froze some of their assets, and that's like, we already kind of had that canary in the coal mine because they already froze Russia's assets. And so it's kind of become obvious. As soon as that happened, it was like, oh, I wonder if a sovereign money would be would be helpful to these countries that find themselves on the wrong end of a superpower's dislike. And so I think a lot of the non-Bitcoiners that are arguing about geopolitics don't understand the type of world that Bitcoin is going to create. And in the future, it would be nice if this type of, activity, basically war, will be unnecessary. Kind of builds into the soft war thesis by Jason Lowry, in that you can elevate kinetic warfare over and over and over and over until we just basically wipe ourselves out with nukes. And we confirm the reason why the Fermi paradox is true is because maybe civilizations just blow each other up before they can get off planet, and that's why we're not hanging out with aliens and shit. But it would be kind of nice if war were to decrease, because you can't really steal each other's shit. You can't manipulate other countries because they have sovereign wealth. There's a lot of talk of different people meeting with different leaders of countries. Oh, you should put Bitcoin in your sovereign wealth fund. Bitcoin is the only asset that could be in a sovereign wealth fund, and the name actually makes sense. Because sovereign wealth funds with stocks in them, stonks, aren't sovereign. You are subordinate now to those companies and to Wall Street. That's of course, it should be obvious. Anything that governments name something, like the true meaning is the opposite. So obviously, a sovereign wealth fund means the unsovereign wealth fund. So, but regardless of whether you are on one side or the other in this war, it's it's a valuable use case, I think, for Bitcoin at the national level. There was even some rumors that maybe maybe some of the ships that they were getting through, that the U.S. was getting through the blockade, was because they secretly paid the Bitcoin tax, which wouldn't surprise me. Um, Anybody who has been alive long enough to remember when Israel actually brokered deals. It was the Iran Contra affair back in the day. Colonel Ali, Ali something. Anyway, Oliver North. And so, like, when different countries want to do deals and ship weapons here and there, they need somebody to do a little in between action. So, it wouldn't surprise me if the U.S. actually, well, in a fucking hot war with Iran, was also paying the toll just to get some oil through. That would just be history repeating itself in a hilarious way. But bullish for Bitcoin. I still think we probably crash because I don't think that I don't think the people who want war are happy. Like, this wasn't enough war. There's no way this was enough to satisfy their bloodlust. So we'll see. We'll see if the negotiations hold. Um, it's been on off, on off, on off for how long? So the boy who cried wolf has been lying his ass off for so long. It's hard to believe this. And even if it is true, there's no reason to believe that it will hold. All Israel has to do is one false flag attack, and basically attack itself or an ally, and the war's back on. So there's a bunch of conditions in there where they've got 60 days to negotiate nuclear deals and all kinds of other bullshit. Plus, I think the U.S. is gonna have to fit the bill for, like, decluttering the fucking strait from all the mines. I don't know how many other countries have mine sweeping capabilities at that level that can even that can even, like, Trump said, "Oh, reopen the straits, let the oil flow." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Who wants to be the first to plow through there and get blown up by a freaking mine?" Unless they actually know where they all are, I guess that would be fun. But yeah, I think I think Bitcoin is proving itself on the international stage, and so that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm unconvinced. Give me a solid 6 months of peace, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe they'll just have peace so that the AI IPOs can all take off without a hitch. Midterms can go through. We can pump the stock market. So maybe we don't get the crash in the overall stock market, but I still don't see how Bitcoin can really achieve liftoff without the conclusion of the spam war. So that would be a nice little frustrating event if the S&P 500 is just stacking all-time highs while Bitcoin is languishing with this fucking civil war we got going on. That would be super fun. But yeah, I still kind of have this sinking feeling that they've got some more tricks up their sleeve, and in order to print like they did after COVID, they're gonna need a COVID-like event, and this just really isn't. There's not enough blood in the streets for them to be able to just print like a motherfucker like they need to and want to. So hopefully that is the end of hostilities, but I will believe it when I see 6 to 12 months of peace in a row. Was it the sign on the production floor is like 13 days without an injury? We need one of those for the war. Because motherfuckers said the same thing with the 12-day war. Oh, yay. See, it only took 12 days, and then, 6 to 9 months later, we're still at war. So everybody's full of shit, and I just hope we get lucky. Good news in the stock market, though. So that's fun. Let's see what the damage has been done to my covered calls here. I'm not really, even with them saying that the war is, we've made deals, blah blah blah. I don't see any reason to really pivot off of my strategy, which is to be extremely aggressive collecting premium through August. And if shares have to get called away in the meantime, that's just fine by me. Or just hedged out. It's all the same. So covered calls underwater. Let's see, we're at 133. I've got about $800 worth of extrinsic value, which is like 0.75%. This is a short week, so this is still reasonable. There's no reason for me to like panic roll these bad boys. If we do close above 120, I will have to think about how to resolve those contracts. So 10 contracts at 1,400 a pop would be 14 grand, which would mean I could just let 100 shares get called away. That would do it pretty easily. But also, I don't really have to roll these. I don't have to roll them up either. So I can roll them out. Like if I just rolled out an extra week now, same strike, I could get a little bit of a credit here. So as long as I'm capturing at least 1% of the underlying per week, I would take that roll. And so if I roll 10, then that means I would actually only have to pay 1,400 for the one contract that I didn't roll. And I could come up with 1,400 pretty easily. I could roll one of these out. Well, I'd have to roll it out farther than that. Let's do. Let's just do one. And let's say I wanted to hedge this out through August when I think we might be, there's a potential of having some fireworks. Just roll it down to like the 75 strike. That would only give me about a 5 grand credit, so less than half of selling the stock position, but also just selling the full 100 because it's actually I'd get 13 grand, so it's about 40% of the full position. And then I would have the potential, though, if we actually did expire at 75 in August, then I could pretty much buy this call back for almost nothing and keep my shares. But if I just sell these, then I have $13,000 that I can redeploy somewhere. So I could go either way with those. We'll see. I'm also tempted. Let's just say that we rally to 150. I would kind of be tempted to actually sell a naked call. Never done it on purpose. And so that would be kind of scary. But that's kind of how bearish I am on resuming the bull market. before resolution of the spam war. All right, I think that's nothing I need to really do today with strategy, so I'll just do nothing as per usual. Maybe I should just have like one title that's the same every day. Same shit, different day. Or just call it as per usual. Sell a contract, wait. Sell a contract, wait. Sell, wait, roll. Sell, wait, roll. All right, Tesla, not pumping necessarily, but it's recovering a little bit. This damn covered call has been on for 11 days. It actually has come down a little bit, but no reason for me to roll this now. Wait another week or two. SATA about to start paying some dailies. That'll be fun to watch. Cypher. This one, these are ready to roll, so they're half of what I sold them for. The only problem is that the liquidity at 46 DTE right now is god awful. It's like, yeah, $1.50 wide on a $26 stock is pretty bad. Now, I can get fills here, but I can also just, let's see, if I wait another week. If I wait another, oh, I have to wait another 2 weeks. So a week would drop the monthly down to 60 days. Another week on top of that would drop it down to 53 days. 3 weeks would drop it down closer to the 45 DTE. So that is a little bit annoying on some of these stocks that have shit liquidity on the weeklies. Put in a little bit of cramp in my style. But another 3 weeks would put this down to 11 days. Now, as time goes by, those expirations get a little bit more liquidity as well sometimes. And I can just walk it down and get fills. I kind of feel like I need to take advantage of this rally, though. I could take off a few SATA positions. Well, let's do this. Let's take a look at this. ASST is about to get turned into weeklies. That's fine. I don't even have enough to close this $27 cash secured put. All right. If I take off 5 of these, that's about $250. I'm gonna sell 25 shares for that, right? No, 2.5 shares. Good Lord. All right, so I only need to sell 3 shares. And then if I close 5, reduce my exposure to Cypher. Should I peel off the other 5 as well? Sell 3 more. Oops. keep my 50%. So in 10 days, I sold these for $1, buying them back for 40. So I'm keeping 60% of the premium collected in 10 days. So that's nice. Basically 60 cents, and I had to put up, what was it? I think those were like I don't think it was the $20 strikes, but let's just say I had to put up $2,000. Collect 60, so it's like 3% in 10 days. 3% return on capital in 10 days. It's not bad. So this one's 78. I'll keep 2/3 of that. All right, cool. Guess I can buy one SATA back. There we go. All right, the IRA, don't really have to worry about margin here. Everything's straight cash homey. This has only been on for 3 days. Nothing really to do here. Got some SATA as my dry powder position. Strategy, again, getting wrecked here, but no reason to get antsy. Now Strive is in a little bit of a different scenario because there's enough extrinsic value here. It's like 0.5% for 3.5 trading days. So like there's just enough extrinsic value here. But with these 14.5 strike covered calls, there's no extrinsic value here. It says 0, but there's probably like a penny or something here. I don't know, under a nickel. And so I need to exit or roll these positions so that I'm at least capturing some kind of extrinsic value, because this just isn't doing me any good. Got $30 worth of buying power. Also need to close or roll these because there's almost nothing left in these puts. So those have done well. And even these bad boys are like half of what I sold them for. So I might even need to deal with those. Unfortunately, with Robinhood, I haven't been able to figure out a way to multi-select, like closing a covered call and the shares at the exact same time. Usually you have to either turn margin on or sell some kind of other position to be able to afford to release the covered call before you can sell the 100 shares. But with Tasty Trade, it's kind of nice because you can just close the position together. So I'm going to give that a shot. Oh, I was supposed to reshare. What's up, Buffalo? I was supposed to reshare without volume. All right, so this is going to give me some cash. I guess I could have sold some SATA as well. But if I'm going to take some profits while this is pumping, it makes sense to at least reduce this position somewhat. And so taking that profit is going to give me 1,400 bucks. What's it going to cost me to roll this up to a strike where I can actually capture some extrinsic value? So up to the expected move would get me 1% for the rest of the week. That's not terrible. And that's going to cost me 1,300. It's almost perfect. But do I want to reduce my exposure to this position further? Let's take off about 20%. And I'll take these off. Keep the 70 cents. And this one, I've already captured 50% of the premiums in 6 days. So it only makes sense to either roll this. Oh, you know what? This is the one. These are the ones that I've been playing the roll to your right game. Take off half of them. Wow, that's freeing up way too much cash, though. Good Lord. All right. Oh, I still got to roll these. That's going to cost me a little bit. So up, let's roll to at least basically the expected move with a little bit of extrinsic just to make this worth something, worth holding over the rest of the week. $13,494. So every time the market pumps, I'm just going to keep trimming some of these positions. So how much SATA can I get for 1,300 bucks or 13 grand? 134. Yep. It's funny because I saw Josh Mandel post that he's doing the opposite. He's actually buying back his covered calls because he doesn't want to lose his shares. I don't know that it's the smartest thing in the world to do the opposite of what Josh Mandel is doing. Every other time I've been on the other side of his trades, it hasn't gone well for me. I think November 2024, I was still like buying 1080s and shit, and he was selling in the money covered calls, and he was absolutely 100% right. Um, I don't know if he just sees the numbers in the matrix or whatever, but it's fine. Everybody has to trade their own book, right? All right. Based on this rally, I've taken a little bit of profits and moved it into something safe. If it comes crashing back down to earth again, I can earn a little bit of yield on this and keep it moving. Not quite ready to roll. Not ready to roll for Cypher as well either. It's only been on for 11 days. Strives have been on for a week or so. This one potentially is ready to roll. But actually, I think this is still reasonable. This amount of extrinsic value here, 130 bucks a pop for 3 contracts. It's like 6 or 7%. So this is still earning like 1% a week. So I don't really feel like I need to take this position off. With the market pumping, I'm getting a lot more maintenance excess here. But I didn't really even make any trades. However, because the preferreds are so stable, I don't really mind putting a few extra bucks into this. So I'm just gonna do half of that, 700. Oh, jeez, what did I do? No, 7. Yeah, that would be some serious margin. 700 shares in a $10,000 account. All right, the 5K account. There's no extrinsic value in this position. I should be able to roll. I only have $30 worth of buying power, but I should be able to close this one. That's going to release like 1,400 bucks worth of collateral. Yep, there we go. This is ready to dispose of or roll as well. So sold it for 135. It's worth 34. So I'll just close it. Then I'll see how much buying power I have left over at the end to see how many positions I can put back on. Oh, you know what? I gotta be Let's see, the Strive, $16. Oh, the put. Never mind. I think that one's probably fine. Maybe not. That's only 2.5 weeks away, right? I sold it for $1.11, worth 87. So this is still fine. Plenty of extrinsic value to capture there. The $19 call is the one I have to be the most careful with. This one is sold against the $10 call. And plenty of time on that one, so we'll just hang around and do nothing there. So what to do with 44 minus 16, 28? $2,800. I can put one Strive cash secured put back on, and I'll be conservative with it instead of just selling the at the money. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me deal with the covered call first. Price of Strive is $17.35. $14 strike is in the money. The difference between those two numbers is $3.35. That is the intrinsic plus, I'm sorry, that's the intrinsic value, which is the entirety of the options value. So there's no extrinsic value here. So this position is doing me no good whatsoever. I could wait till the end of the week and let it get called away, but I might as well just deal with it now. Since I did take some profits with those other positions, I can roll this up to, what was it, the one, I think it was, roll it up to the 16, I think, and there was still some extrinsic value. Let's see. 1730 minus the 16, 1740 minus the 16 is $1. Yeah, $1.40. And I'm selling it for 160. So there's an extra 20 cents of extrinsic value here. $1.75. $8. Yeah, maybe I need to roll it up at least one more because there's not enough value there to make it, because I'm gonna have to overpay for this because of the bid-ask spreads. So let's try 1650 for Electra. There we go. So in this scenario, I kind of did what Josh did. I rolled this up to preserve my share. Well, 16 and a half, they're still underwater, so they get called away if I don't do something about this on Friday. But there's at least some extrinsic value here to make this worth holding. That leaves me 2,600 to play with. So I can put one cash secured put back on. $46 DTE. The bid-ask spread on 15 is not that great. Let's do the 14. It's not, well, yeah, the volume and open interest is pretty bad for both of them. And there's tons of bids and asks, so I will get a fill here. Let's do the 15 strike. just a increment of 5. Maybe it'll be more popular. All right, so let's just try the mid. A little bit above the mid, just to make sure I don't sell too cheap. Yeah, I'm gonna have to roll this down. Oh wow, that already dropped down to 118. Okay. That filled. All right, that leaves 4370 minus 3100. That's 1200 bucks. So I'm gonna grab 12 shares of SATA. Profit taking and dry powder. I like where that landed. This might be the only account I still have a leveraged position in. This Poorman's covered call is a leveraged strive position. But mostly it's just cash secured put, covered call, running the wheel type stuff. What's up, dude face? Pretty clear when only 1 out of 3 parties is agreeing to ceasefire publicly that we taco. Yeah, man. People that are invested politically, though, they're just so desperate to not have to admit that they either made a mistake or that they're drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever. There's just so much of people's egos and personal identities built into these camps. What did when I used to argue on Facebook, there was a guy, his name was Devin Austin Generally, and he was definitely in our circles, libertarian, anarchist type. And one of the things that he said was he didn't believe that the human soul could survive politics. And it kind of makes sense because what it boils down to is we're going to argue, but then instead of just agreeing to disagree and going our separate ways and living our lives, we're going to lobby for politicians to force the other half to live the way that we chose. So there's no such thing as like just having a conversation and then the better ideas win. It's like, no, I couldn't convince you with words, so now I'm gonna go get someone to point guns at you and force you to abide by my wishes. And if you're doing that to other people, it's got to be damaging to the soul if you believe such a thing exists. Now, with that being said, I have kind of wondered. I haven't voted for over 20 years, but if Massey runs for president in 2028, I'd be tempted. But I also just keep thinking about the Charlie Brown cartoon where Charlie Brown thinks he's going to get to kick the football this time, and Lucy just takes it out, out from underneath him, and he goes flying again. And it just makes me not wary that I'm going to fall for the okey doke. But I wanted in 2024, I wanted Tulsi Gabbard versus Vivek Ramaswamy. And if that was the presidential race, I wouldn't have voted, but I would have at least been reaffirmed in the political system enough to be like, oh, at least the different political parties had like what seemed like some principled candidates that were reasonably intelligent and not like warmongers and that kind of didn't work out, unfortunately. But anyway, Tulsi ended up betraying herself anyway. So if she would have had any self-respect, she would have resigned long ago, like Joe Kent. But you know, so I definitely had a bad read on that situation. And so, really, I was thinking about something that if you want to just refuse to admit that there are even any decent politicians, like if you did a term or two and then you just got fed up and left, you're probably a decent politician. But to actually continue to want to keep doing it, the only argument that I can think of would be like a controlled opposition thing where Trump endorsements are so toxic right now that the only way to ensure Massey could run unburdened by the stink of the Republican Party is being anti-Trump. And so, like, if you really want to play like 44 double D chess, then the only argument that you could make for elevating Massey to a position where he could run for president would be by being attacked by the person who's toxic. And so it's all you could argue that Trump, by sabotaging him, has actually put him in the only position to make him a viable candidate. Because JD Vance is he's actually in Kamala's unfortunate position where, like the Biden presidency was an absolute disaster. But for her to criticize it and say, oh, I'm going to do things better and I'm going to do things different, she'd be criticizing herself because she was involved in the whole thing. So JD Vance is kind of in that same unfortunate situation of, for him to say he'll do things differently or he'll take the country in a new direction is like, well, why weren't you taking it in a new direction while you were the fucking vice president? And so the only way to like unencumber yourself from that is to be the enemy of the person who everybody hates. Like Trump's approval ratings are in the toilet. So it's almost like by attacking him, it frees him from the chains of the disaster that is this presidential term. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, like 110% conspiracy theory all the time, all day, every day, like that's the only way that I can make it work, that Trump did that on purpose, like in a thoughtful way, not just by being a fucking buffoon. So the only way that it can be like intentional and intelligent is if you admit that he's lying through his teeth about everything that he's doing and saying. And since most people who are cheerleading him take him seriously and that his stated goals are his goals, then it doesn't work for them. So they can't bring themselves to admit that the only way that he's successful in his goals is if that his goals are actually the opposite of the ones that he says he has. Anyway, I just think that's funny. All right, that's all I got. Hopefully we have peace. Enough of my brothers and sisters have been getting murdered overseas for no benefit to the American people. And I just hope, the rest of them get to come home. So that being said,